So, welcome back to my channel. Look at him. There we go, that was a nice track from him. This is of course the Crotalus ornatus, or the blacktail rattlesnake. And he's a good eater for sure, as you just saw there. There we go. And he's not going to strike again, even though that mouse is jumping around and all over him because of that venom, see? Very nice. Seems like this time he delivered much more venom than he does usual. See, he must have been hungry. And for today I've got plenty of other snakes to feed as well. I just picked up 10 mice from the pet store, so if everything goes according to plan, you are going to see 9 more venomous snakes. And I hope it's going to be interesting for you. I've got a lot of comments saying that they don't like my commentary over the footage, but I am trying to keep it educational on this channel as well. So if you don't like to learn anything about the snakes, I can remind you too that there is a mute button on YouTube as well. You're not going to miss out on anything. And if you just want to hear the rodents squeaking, I guess you have to look for another channel. I'm sorry. But let's move on to the next. So, this is the green pit viper, the Trimeresurus albolabris. Look at her, this is an adult female specimen. And she is locked on that mouse, but she is going to wait for the perfect moment to get a nice accurate strike. There we go, that's some good bite placement right there. Very nice. And I need to make sure that she spots the mice right away when I throw them into the cage. I tried to tongue feed her for a while, but it seemed to confuse her. My concern was that when she doesn't notice the mice in her cage, right at the beginning they run around and go hide and poop in the cage, which I then have to clean up afterwards. So I thought tongue feeding was the better way to do it, but I guess if I do it this way and she does notice the mice right away, it's probably going to be the more effective feeding method after all. Look at that, that venom took out the mouse already. Pretty impressive when you keep in mind that venom of the green pit viper is considered relatively mild. These snakes have a huge distribution all throughout Southeast Asia and are responsible for a lot of bites. But most humans that are getting bit, they do survive it, and there are only very few fatalities known. Look at him. This is the neotropical rattlesnake, or at least a particular species of it, the Crotalus pifanorum. So he doesn't waste much time either, as you just saw there, and already delivered his strike. I need to keep in mind that this is one of the most neurotoxic rattlesnakes of all. They have, look at that, the venom just kicked in. As you maybe know already, there are several different species of neotropical rattlesnake, and most, if not all of them, do have a strong neurotoxic component within the venom to some extent. But the venom of the Crotalus pifanorum in particular is almost entirely neurotoxic, which is pretty interesting. Look at him, he's kind of focused on me now, but I think as soon as the last bit of twitching in that mouse is over, he is going to start and swallow it reasonably quickly, and I will try to record that as well, and I hope you are going to be interested in it. I don't have too much footage of him swallowing the mice on my channel yet, but he did just gape his jaw there a little. Maybe we're going to see a full yawn from him. Usually he likes to get his jaws and fangs back in. Oh, there we go, see? That's what I mean. It wasn't a full yawn just yet, but I think you were able to kind of see his fangs there for a moment. So, I am going to do a separate voiceover now because this is a sped up footage of him swallowing that rodent. See? It's just going to be a small snack for him. He is already an adult specimen. The Crotalus pifanorum are one of the smallest neotropical rattlesnakes. They do stay a good bit smaller than, for example, the Crotalus dorissus species, or at least most of them. Or, for example, the Crotalus zapcan, which do grow to a quite significant size, at least double or triple the size of the pifanorum. But they are all very interesting looking rattlesnakes, all these South American species. They all have this kind of small head and very triangular body shape, which makes them very easy to distinguish from all the North American rattlesnake species, which are interesting too, of course, but these neotropical ones will always have a special place. So, next up is a snake I didn't feed in quite a while. She was off food for a few months actually, just because she was getting a little chunky. This is the Atheris squamigera, the variable bush viper, and they have a tendency to get overweight quite fast, but I'm going to offer that mouse with the tweezers now, as she usually takes them right away this way and doesn't get confused by the tweezers like the Trimeresurus. Look at her, she just looks like a little dragon. Come on. Ooh. There we go. And look how much strength she has in her neck, holding up that mouse in the air. It's an adult mouse right there, and bush vipers, they do stay pretty small. They are related to the saw-scale vipers and are comparable in size. Look at that. They are very interesting looking true vipers. This is not a pit viper right there, so she doesn't have the capability to sense heat and detect the prey that way. They rely only on eyesight and their sense of smell, of course, too. There we go. Sadly, I can't get too good of an angle with her cage because that the thing that holds the light bulb, or held one, is kinda in the way. But I feel like you do have a good enough look at this very beautiful snake, and one that is kept pretty commonly among venomous snake keepers, and for good reason. They are relatively easy to take care of, and even though they are very potent in venom, they are easy enough to handle, I feel like, because due to them being so small, you can stay out of their strike range more easily. So let's throw in that mouse to Mr. Russell's Viper before he decides to jump out of the cage. Look at him, ooh, he's locked on. There we go, always some very energetic strikes from Mr. Russell's Viper, Daboia russeli, and that venom is going to act very quickly, I can show you that. They have some real strong hemotoxic venom that is known for the blood clotting capabilities, meaning that this venom is going to turn your blood into pudding in no time at all. And look at that, that mouse is done already. Very nice. And he's just a small specimen, or a young individual rather. He has still plenty of growing to do. But an adult Russell's Viper would have quite a significant venom yield as well, which is obviously one of the most important factors to determine just how dangerous a venomous snake is. Not only how potent the venom is drop for drop, but also how much they are able to deliver. And where these snakes occur naturally in India and Pakistan and so on, they are considered one of the most dangerous, even though there is no shortage of venomous snakes in these countries. You know, there are different cobra and kite species there too. But Russell's viper doesn't only have, of course, the high venom yield, but also a very fast-acting venom, no doubt about it. So here we have another common viper species from Asia, the Malayan pit viper. There we go. And he is a male specimen from Borneo. Very nice. And these snakes do stay a bit smaller. This adult mouse is going to be a pretty sizable meal for him. I think after that I am going to take him off food for a while now. But he is a very good eater. I just removed his water dish and hide from the cage. So he has a little more space to strike at that mouse. And he did deliver his strike already. He usually just strikes a single time. Look, he is going to keep a close eye on that mouse, but he won't strike again. It may take a time though, a bit of time, until that prey item is down, because it is quite sizable compared to him again. But we are going to see just how long it's going to take. The Calloselasma rhodostoma or Malayan pit viper is responsible for a considerable amount of deaths from snakebite within Southeast Asia. Most bite victims that do pass away die from either a septic shock or from bleeding in the brain, from what I've been told, which makes sense, of course. This is also a hemotoxic venom for the most part. But there are some cytotoxic components in there too. So I guess it is a very similar mixture of venom components than, for example, the North American cottonmouths. These Malayan pit vipers are actually sometimes called Malayan moccasin too, but they aren't too closely related to the actual North American moccasins. They are in a monotypic genus, which means, of course, that this snake doesn't really have any other very close relatives, at least. These snakes are known to lay eggs, which is quite different to most other vipers in general, which do give live birth for the most part. Only very few species like this one and, for example, the bushmasters lay eggs. So, copperhead time. There we go, that's what we like to see. Immediate strike from Mr. Copperhead. This is the Agkistrodon laticinctus. And he never wastes any time at all. Look at him. This is, of course, the time in the year where they would do hibernation. But I have found out that they don't really need to do it. I usually just kinda sync the temperatures in my room naturally anyway, but the copperheads seem to be very unfazed by that and keep eating, different to my pair of cottonmouths and Mr. Sharp-nosed viper, which I didn't show on the channel for a while now, because they always stop eating in the winter, but the copperheads just don't really seem to care. Maybe I just need to stop feeding them for a few months again as well, just so they don't get overfed maybe. Again, the hibernation doesn't really seem to be necessary. Of course, they do it in nature because they are forced to. At the end of the day, they are cold-blooded and are reliant on warm temperatures to be active. So, the female is going to be hungry as well, of course. Ooh. She struck it right away too. And please excuse this really dirty cage. I figured I'm just going to feed her and then clean up afterwards. Just because if I would have cleaned her up first, maybe the rodent would start to piss and poop in the cage. It seems like when the mice get envenomated, some of them do have the tendency to start pissing around, which I have to clean up, of course. Your arm may be able to tell that I do try to keep somewhat hygienic conditions for my snakes. And I feel it's especially important for venomous snakes because, you know, they don't go to the regular animal vet, even if he's like specialized in reptiles. He's not going to, you know, medicate a venomous snake. So you have to take care of it yourself and try to keep it nice and clean for them. Or at least I try to. There we go. And for the rest of the video, we got the Crotalus cerberus pair. Very nice. That was a pretty impressive strike from him, I think. Look at that. It's Mr. Crotalus cerberus, the Arizona black rattlesnake. Let's see here. I just removed his hide box again to make sure that a mouse doesn't try to, you know, hide away from the camera. So we get to see that hemotoxic venom in action. The Crotalus cerberus are known to have comparably mild venom, at least in regards to toxicity to humans. Of course, with the mice, it's always a bit of a different thing. That's also the reason, by the way, why I think that this LD50 value that the scientists use, I guess, is kind of pointless in determining what snake is more potent than the other. Because basically all what this LD50 means is how much of the venom is required to kill half of all the test subjects. And the test subjects are of course usually just the mice, just like the ones that I use to feed my snakes. Because they are also the preferred prey items for the snakes, and therefore you need to keep in mind that the venom is designed specifically to target them for the most part, and therefore the venom is going to work really differently in a human in general. And that's also the reason why I feel like that you can't just add up how much more a human weighs than a mouse and then try to get an LD50 value for humans. I just feel like that's not saying much. In my opinion, it's much more interesting or informative to compare what are the actual venom components and the actual venom yield of the different snake species. And that's gonna be determining how venomous or dangerous a certain species is for the most part at the end of the day. But let's move on and feed the female. So she's already waiting for food, it seems. Or maybe not, I think she's asleep actually. But she just woke up. There we go. Look. Full focus. Boom. So let's see here. With her, it oftentimes does take a while until the venom actually kills the mouse, maybe a few minutes. Again, there are some keepers that told me that the longest time that they have seen a rattlesnake venom to fully take effect in a mouse was around 15 minutes. And I can't really confirm that myself. I feel like the snakes of mine, the longest they take to kill a mouse is maybe a few minutes. Sometimes like 6 minutes or something like that, but never longer than that for the most part at least. but again, with her it usually does take a bit longer. She is very economical with her venom, I guess. Not only does she seem to not deliver that much of it, she also never strikes a second or a third time. That's just the different, individual characteristics of the snakes. It doesn't really depend on species too much either. It really is more the individual character again. But of course, the snakes are able to control just how much venom they want to deliver. You can actually see that with young individuals in particular. It has been proven that the baby rattlesnakes are more keen on delivering more venom or even the entire yield when they try to defend themselves, because of course they don't have as much venom or aren't able to produce as much venom as the adult ones. In older literature, you can still find people claiming that baby rattlesnakes just aren't able to control how much venom they want to deliver, but again, that's not true. They just try to compensate for their smaller venom yield. Look at that, she's very interested already in swallowing the mouse, but she knows that she will probably still need to wait for a few minutes. Look at that. Very interesting. And see, she is going to keep her distance for the most part, but that mouse is certainly feeling the venom already. Again, also, if the way the venom gets injected does make a difference too, of course, even though that factor is a little bit random. If the venom gets injected intravenously, obviously, oh, look at that little yawn from her. But anyway, what I wanted to say is, of course, if the venom gets injected intravenously right away, it is going to act much quicker than if it gets injected intramuscularly, for example. There we go, look at her. Still keeping a very close eye on that mouse. But again, it is going to be the last feeding for this video. Hope you enjoyed it so far as well. Feel free to leave a like and a comment if you did. Are going to see what I'm going to post next. I think the next video is going to be on scorpions and tarantulas again. And then afterwards I'm maybe trying to post another best of video and see how that goes. Maybe try and do something a little different. But of course, soon enough I will record a newly recorded feeding video of all the venomous snakes again too. There we go. I think I've mentioned it already, but at the moment the cottonmouths and my sharp-nosed viper are off food. They usually don't eat during the winter. I'm not too sure why. I don't really drop the temperatures, but they have like kinda these instincts that they register the seasons anyway, I feel like. But I think soon enough we will see them as well too.